All right, Aries, howdy doody, howdy doody. Hello, howdy, darling. Aries, let's see what the heck is going on with y'all this week. Oh, girl, I don't know if that even caught on camera, but let's get into this tarot reading for y'all for June 2023 here. The cards are already flying everywhere. Apparently, I can't even speak already. Ain't looking good, but let's just get right into this here anyways, my friend, all right? If you do enjoy this, be sure to check out your sun, moon, and your rising, darling. But y'all have, Aries, the Six of Swords. So y'all have been in the process of detaching yourself emotionally from a situation. You might have recently made the choice of going no contact with somebody. All right. There's also this message here, especially with that Six of Swords. It's like that sense of like bittersweetness here, Aries. Let's explore this a little bit further. Oh, so some of y'all recently definitely did, Aries, go no contact with somebody recently, or you've accepted a situation for what it is. You've accepted that you can't change a person. Perhaps we'll get a little bit more detail about this, but I want to keep it moving as well. All right, I want to get into just your life in specific here, but perhaps this is just going to be a validating message for some Aries, in the sense of where you are making the right choice of moving on from somebody because you realize you can't force them to change. You can't have somebody see things from your perspective here. So what's going on here a little bit? We'll clarify this Two of Cups one time and then we'll move on. All right, so Page of Pentacles coming in here, and it came in even in the reverse here, Aries. So very much so could be someone that's like very much so like a leech in your life. Aries, y'all better not be paying somebody else's bills and they're not giving you what you need to get from the relationship here. But also the sense of where perhaps someone's just always like taking from your energy but never giving back. It's never a sense of reciprocalness is the message that I'm getting there. All right, even when it comes to career, if we run on twist it that way here, it's almost as if you're making the choice of detaching yourself from a situation that you have committed yourself to, especially if you've been in this job for a long time. You're realizing that the pay just isn't given what it needs to give anymore, and so you need to go on to bigger and better things, right? Something that has always stuck with me, I don't know why, since I've been self-employed longer than I ever was working a 9 to 5, but it's something that stuck with me, where it's like if you choose to stay at a job for longer than 2 years, you're making the choice and throwing away money, because you could leave that job after 2 years, Aries, and work somewhere else doing the same exact thing, but you're able to hustle a lot higher of a pay because you're coming in with that experience. And so maybe that's relevant for some of you guys. Oops, not me hitting my mic. So maybe that's relevant for some of you, Aries, but take that as you will. But let's just transition away from that, because I feel like that's just more so like a validating message someone needed to hear, Aries. Because then let's just get about going on with what's going on in your life and what direction Spirit needs to be heading or trying to give you. So y'all have this full energy. Fabulous, darling. I wanted to have a clean slate with your cards, and then this is exactly what it is that we got. And it's also very fitting, all right, because you're leaving a situation, right? You're not really taking much with you on that Six of Swords, and then it's just like the world becomes, I always say the world becomes your oyster, but I don't even, it's more so like the world becomes like your playground. I think is more so what I mean, in the sense of like the possibilities are limitless for you. You had to let go of a lot, all right, because the Fool's not carrying much baggage with them. They have a little bit with them, and then that's it, right? It's more so what you're bringing with you is internal here. And so I get the sense of freedom for you here, Aries. Again, I get like this message for some of y'all are just realizing just a situation that you have given so much of yourself to, and you're just not getting financially compensated for it, or just compensated in terms of communication and just connection. You're left with being a blank canvas, and I think that is the best place to be at, Aries. There's also this message here of not being afraid of following. How to make sure it's the Three of Wands. It's not being afraid, Aries, of following the signs, because I was more so shook for a moment, Aries. That's why I took a pause. I was like, hold up, is this really the card I just pulled? Because I was gonna say, it's like not being afraid of following the signs, or just your intuition of feeling like you need to move on from a situation. Very much so Eight of Cups energy. But the reason why I was a little bit shook there, Aries, is because that Three of Wands is a card of where you're starting to see signs of like where you need to start traveling to next, right? And you think about the series of tarot, the Two of Wands is like you're making long-term plans for your future, and the Three of Wands is a sense of following through with those plans and allowing your spiritual team to guide you. All right, and so this, I always like to say the Three of Wands is like your spiritual team, your spirit guides, God, honey, whatever you align with, is leaving breadcrumbs for you to be following here. And so This is definitely a journey that I feel like you've already been slowly preparing for, but I think this is like what has really held you back from committing to this new journey is that what it is that you've had to leave, like what it is that you're going to need to leave behind. And perhaps something recently happened that kind of pushed your hand in that regard here, but I like the direction that you're going in, right? And then we get this tower energy. All right. And so Aries, all right, this is definitely like what's done is done is done. I feel like, especially with this type of energy here, you're probably giving something or someone way too many chances here. I think this is more so of a message where you gave something your all, and you need to just accept that there's nothing more that you can give to the situation. The result was always going to be how it was going to be, because and that is just like the message is like it is what it is type of thing. It's like I don't want to say your hand was forced in this way, but you might have felt this way at this point, where it's just very much so like the feather that broke the camel's back, perhaps. Yeah, you're very valid in the decision. Y'all getting a little cameo of Miss Tulip. It's been a hot biscuit since Tulip's made an appearance on my channel. So I think she also popped up for y'all's last reading as well. Anyways, y'all have the 7 of Cups coming in here. All right, so very perfect for you, Aries. I feel like the next step of your direction, Aries, is not necessarily a sense of where you're picking back up on something and developing it from a new setting. All right, and this is more so a sense of, let's just use myself as an example. Let's say I'm an Aries, and this is, girl, what you trying to get at, Miss Tulip? Let's just say Aries, that this is for me, and I'm an Aries. I could align this being like, oh, okay, like YouTube isn't paying me, Page of Pentacles there, so it's time for me to move into a new direction. And these, obviously, this is just, I don't feel this way at all. Your next direction, or like how I'd see this as my next direction, is exploring something that's completely unrelated to tarot, because I don't feel as if it would be like trying to continue on with tarot in like a new place is going to be the path that further develops for me. I think this is more so of a time of where I would explore other interests, because that's where the profit would be coming in. All right, now again, I just really need to preface this that that's just an example, and it's really not how I feel whatsoever. But sometimes people, Aries, and I know it's not y'all, but it's like some folks really take it to heart with my examples, and they try to like comfort me or like say anything about it. I was like, girl, that's not how I feel. Like, it's just the first message that I can make to give an example. So you can take the example, like, because I see tarot as like a puzzle, right? So you see these messages here, and I like to, the best way to express it, especially in a general tarot reading like this, is for me to give an example of how I would apply these puzzle pieces to my life, right? And then it helps you to take that example of it and see how it applies to your life in specific, right? And so obviously, yeah, so we pulled that Temperance card for you here. So I'm not going to sugarcoat this here, Aries. When you have that Temperance energy, the new things that you're going to be venturing into, it's not going to be something where you start going into it and it's immediately validating, right? If I stop doing tarot and I go into doing a beauty channel, right? Maybe I start doing makeup. I'm not going into this anticipating to like blow up overnight and to have my beauty channel to already be at the same level as the empire of tarot that I've created for myself, right? And so you have to allow something to develop. If you are going to explore something new, don't be expecting your validation coming in the sense of being able to financially compensate yourself in the same way that something else was. Does that make sense? And then afterwards here, you have the star card coming in here. I wanted to get both the Temperance and the star in this here. So you have the star card coming in here, Aries, all right? And so this is still something I want to insist for you, Aries, is that the star only shows up on your path when it's like talking about your deep desires, things that you just always have envisioned for yourself, right? So for example, for me, I've always envisioned myself to have my own charity for mental health and, you know, so on and so forth. But let's just say, for example, like my dream has always just been to be like a world famous tarot reader. It's not. But in this way here, I would see this and be like, oh, I don't want to explore anything new because it would take me off my path of what it is I'm trying to long-term accomplish, right? And this message here, this is like your spiritual team saying, it's like, friend, like what it is that you're doing is still on the same path, right? You're still going to accomplish the thing that you've wanted to accomplish since you were a child, but it's the details are just like the journey itself. The details of that journey is not going to be in the way that you initially anticipated. So you'll still get to the same destination that you've been wanting to get to, just the storyline, the plot changes a little bit for you here, right? Because of that death card, right? There's that sense of, once again, something that you had to accept to just come to an end. And to me, Aries, I see this more so of a sign of where whatever it is that you were delving into, you learned what you could from the situation. When, if it was a person, you gained as much character as you could from that person. When it comes to a job, you learned the tools, the tools, the tools, or just whatever you needed to learn from that job, and you now can apply those tools, that knowledge, into something new. But you know, it is necessary for you to just like wash your hands clean of a situation and be like, all right, I got what I could from this. Let me now move into a new direction. Still going down that same path, or still going down to accomplish the same thing ultimately. But again, it's not going to be in that same type of journey there, especially if this is in like a social way for you, Aries. I would just summarize this in a sense of where perhaps you were really connecting to a soulmate or a twin flame of yours, right? But sometimes when it comes to those spiritual connections, just because you have that deep spiritual connection with somebody doesn't mean they're going to be your happily forever after. I know that's what spirituality nowadays really paints out this picture to be, where it's just like, oh, your soulmates are going to be there forever. Your twin flames are going to be there forever. Just isn't realistic, my friend. All right. And just in the fairy tales. And so sometimes there's certain people in your life that, you know, beautiful connection, soulmate there, but sometimes they're only there for a very specific purpose, or to be part of your journey for a specific amount of time. And once they serve their purpose, or once you serve your purpose in someone else's life, you have to go into a new direction. All right. That's how you stay stale, is when you try to cling on to things that have just been part of your life for a long time. All right. You have to let go of that blankie eventually. All right. And then you have this Knight of Wands coming in here. All right. So Knight of Wands, I like this for you, Aries, because to me, it's like you're going to be finding your spark again. I get like this message of where whatever it was that you were dealing with beforehand, each day that went by, you started losing more and more of yourself, almost like the sense of where you have to dim your shine a little bit to make things work out. But I do see during the summertime, you're going to be finding your personality again. You're going to be finding your color. You know, you're going to start seeing color in life again here, right? And then here, darling, we have that Two of Wands that I was just talking about beforehand for you. Right now for you, Aries, I do get like this sense of very bittersweet energy, and you know, it's unfortunate things had to end the way that they apparently needed to end for you. Probably was a little bit abrupt, and it was definitely something that you put your heart and soul into, and you really did not want to give up on it. But sometimes you have to move into that new direction, Aries. Sometimes it's time for you to just switch it up here, and that's really what I see for you. So right now you're feeling pretty heavy, but I guarantee you probably this time next month you will be so happy that you moved into this new direction here. It's just like the initial transition period that is a little bit emotional, a little bit rough, right? When you leave your house, when you move from your parents' house, right, there's that bittersweetness. There's like the emotions are high, but you also still commit to doing the moving because, you know, it's for your betterment, it's for your growth. If you were to stay at your mother's house, you wouldn't be able to fully spread your wings in the way that you could if you were to do that. Does that make sense, Aries? So this is the tarot reading that I have for you today, my friend. Hopefully something in here resonated, and I'll connect to you sometime in the near future, darling. Bye, Aries.